I'm recording. And I'm going live. Hey everybody. Welcome to the Shacknews stream. Making sure we're live before I start talking more. Yep, we're live. We are here going to be covering the NVIDIA earnings results and conference call. So we're here a little bit early. Earnings are expected to drop around 4:20 p.m. Eastern. But figured we'd jump on. We saw a bunch of you were already kind of following us in chat, so shout out, thank you for giving us the follow. I'm Asif Khan. I'm the host of a show called Game Trader Live, which airs once a month. But we're kind of taking the brand and applying it to our conference call coverage too. NVIDIA is one of the biggest companies on Earth. Actually, I think it's the biggest company on Earth, with a market cap over $4 trillion. And it's at the heart of the AI bull market right now. Hello, we are live,
Hello.
just letting you know. But yeah, we're here on Twitch. We're going to be reacting to the results as they break. That should be in about 20 minutes or less. We have some expectations already. I can get you those. So the company is expected to have quarterly revenue of $45.91 billion and earnings per share of 98 cents. The whisper number is higher than that. It's 106 per share. For a frame of reference, I thought it'd be interesting to point out what they did last year. Last year's revenue for this quarter was $30 billion and earnings per share of 68 cents. They did disappoint in the year ago quarter. They missed their whisper number by 3 cents, and the stock did sell off as a result. But analysts are expecting 50% revenue growth from this company, which is kind of crazy if you think about how much AI has grown since the last few years. But yeah, if you're interested in following financial news, we cover a lot of tech and gaming companies' earnings reports here on Twitch as well as on YouTube. So give us a follow. If you really feel generous, maybe subscribe. Give us some of Jeff Bezos' money with that Twitch Prime sub. I do want to kind of talk about this chart that I have up here. From a technical analysis standpoint, something interesting happened last quarter. Folks will remember early in April when the entire market sold off because of tariff fears. NVIDIA dropped below the previous quarter's range to 86.62, only to close well above it at 158.71. So there is an active buy signal on the quarterly bar chart above 158.71. So where are we right now? Stock is currently trading for 181.60. Actually, I think it's even higher in after hours. So let's jump to the minute chart because we're going to see the reaction in real time here. And yeah, stick around. We will be streaming the conference call here, but we'll also be live reacting to the earnings results when they drop. And like I said earlier, it's about 15 minutes until the earnings will drop. I am joined by our editors here who will be helping me cover the news as it breaks on Shacknews.com. We got TJ, Denzer, Ozzy Mejia, and Bill Lavoie here. So thanks for joining me, guys.
Hello, and thank you for having us.
And yeah, we're we got a website there that you can visit. We're going to be obviously reacting to this in real time, but all of the articles that we're going to break out from this, be it the revenue, earnings, if they have any buyback news, or if they say anything about what's going on with respects to selling chips to China. We know that Jensen Huang met with the Trump administration during this quarter, and that may lead to some commentary on this. We'll see what they have to say in the question and answer session. I will say that out of most tech CEOs, Jensen has historically spoken with, I'd say, more transparency than a lot of other CEOs. He's willing to talk about the economic backdrop that he sees, and also what he feels is the important thing to focus on going forward. They sometimes talk about future products, even if it's not necessarily announcing a future product. He may discuss like what they're working on, which is always interesting. The stock is definitely moving ahead of the results. It's at the high. I think it's at the high that we saw it today. I'm gonna scoot back a little bit. But this is not in reaction to anything yet. At least according to my screens, I don't see the news breaking yet. But it's important to note that on an average trading day, 90% of the volume that you see, volume being how many shares are traded in any given day, 90% of volume is governed by algorithmic trading. That's computerized trading. That is usually rules based. So they do look for news. They will react to news, and obviously, if a company beats earnings expectations, beats whisper number expectations, beats revenue expectations, usually the stock goes up. If they say something bad on the conference call, the stock could go down. So that's why you're all here. I'd say this is the biggest story in tech right now. AI in general, but NVIDIA specifically. I see Sand Knight 95 in chat is just saying, please NVIDIA. I saw a lot of memes on Twitter. Not a shocker, right, guys? But there's a lot of memes basically implying that NVIDIA is single-handedly going to affect the market tomorrow. We've been covered. We cover a lot of tech companies. We cover Microsoft, Amazon, AMD, Google, Facebook, or Meta, Apple. And what we've heard on most of the conference calls is that the spending on AI is still going on. Data centers are still being built. And thank you for the follow, Sand Knight 95. A lot of people are hoping that the company has something good to say. Full disclosure, I do own shares of NVIDIA. My family owns shares of NVIDIA. So I also hope that they do well. It's had a decent run here in recent weeks. Back up here. Actually, it's been kind of sideways, trying to get above this all-time high, which was reached like 3 weeks ago, of 184.48. It's currently trading at 182.29. We're going back to the 1 minute chart though, because we're going to see how it's going to be the best way to see how the stock is reacting to the news in real time, but also as the conference call goes on, you'll get a good idea of how the stock is reacting to the conference call in real time. So what weight is NVIDIA in my portfolio? That's a personal question. I don't know if I actually have to tell you that. It depends. I manage multiple portfolios. In some accounts, I don't own any NVIDIA. In some accounts, I would say it's maybe 5 to 10%. I don't own it in every account I manage. It's I have different risk tolerances and time horizons in different accounts that I manage. And I think that everyone should factor those things in when investing in any stock. But it is not my largest holding. I am a degenerate that owns mainly Nintendo common stock. And it's been pretty good stock to own this year. But this is not about Nintendo here. Although, NVIDIA does make the chip inside the Nintendo Switch 2, guys. And we saw them beat on the gaming revenue number last quarter. They actually showed tremendous growth in gaming revenue, which was largely powered by the Switch 2. And their GPUs, obviously. But yeah, it depends, I guess is the answer, Sandy Knight. I am not... I think the reason I haven't gone all in on NVIDIA is that it is a risky stock in that it is very levered to AI spending right now. But based on the analysis I've done of the other companies, the other R&D spending that's going on in the space, I'm still quite confident in holding it. But yeah, I think I think everyone should probably, manage their risk based on their own risk tolerances, their own time horizons. But as someone who runs a media company, Shacknews, I think it makes sense to own NVIDIA as a hedge to my own business because AI is attacking us on a daily basis, right, guys? And it's NVIDIA is a nice hedge for that. So yeah, we're still waiting for results to come out. But like I said, interesting setup on the quarterly chart. I tend to look at longer term charts. So you have it's a strategy literally called the Stratos, invented by my mentor, the late Rob Smith. NVIDIA is up on the year. NVIDIA is up on the quarter. NVIDIA is up on the month. NVIDIA is up on the week. NVIDIA was kind of flat on the day, but still up. So you have time frame continuity to the upside, which you want to look for. It has not come out yet. ChatGPT recommended us. That's fucking funny. Good to know, Skill Bros 4. Appreciate that. Darkman224, no, the results have not come out yet. We expect them to drop here in the next 8 to 9 minutes. So right now, if you're seeing the price movement in after hours, Wondar 4000 says true. I know you from GPT. Sandknight95 said lol. For me, it was Grok. Mata008 said I also came from Chat GPT. Lol. So guys, our SEO is so good that Chat GPT saw your article, TJ. So well done.
Excellent.
That's just hilarious. That's really funny, guys. Thank you for coming to a website from a chatbot. We know how hard that is. So we appreciate all you folks coming to see us either through our Shacknews website where we had an article for the listen here, or by finding us on our Twitch channel. We appreciate you folks. That's actually quite amusing to us. I know that our managing editor here, Bill Lavoie, who is our SEO expert, our guru, probably got a chuckle out of that. But yeah, well done, TJ. That's a well-written article there. But yeah, we're sitting here waiting for the results. This will, Darkman, you're right. I guess this could be if they have some huge miss, yes, this could be the beginning of the bear market. I would recommend people go back and read about the .com bubble and just how long it lasted and how many people were calling for the end while it kept bleeding higher. I share your concern that there are some stocks in the AI space that are overvalued. But I like to describe this time period as it's like a gold rush, and NVIDIA is selling pickaxes. So they're probably going to be one of the companies left standing at the end of this. And they have skillfully navigated through several trends, be it crypto, computer vision, the advent of the GPU, before the GPU became more about server technology. See, I really do think that Jensen Huang is an excellent CEO. The management team is very bright. But yeah, the stock has run a lot this year. But who's to say it's going to stop running here? We'll just wait until the results come out, and we'll let you know where we think it's going, or where it is going. We're also going to compare it with the expectations. So just to remind folks at home, the expectations are for revenue of $45.91 billion in the quarter, earnings per share of 98 cents, and a whisper number, which is like kind of what the street wants to see, of 106 per share. And I mentioned that in the previous year, if it's good, I will not buy live. No, I don't like trading in after hours. Obviously the volume in a company of this size is going to be good. But I think true price discovery will happen tomorrow. So no, I won't be placing any trades live. I'm already long. I am long this stock in the largest account that I manage, and I own about 5. It's about 5 to 10% of the portfolio is in this stock. We are going to be watching the stock react live. We're going to break down the earnings results live, and then we're going to be live streaming the conference call at 5 p.m. Eastern. So the results are about to drop here in the next 4 minutes. I have my trading software up, so I am looking at the results, or at least I'm looking at a feed, basically like a Bloomberg feed of the news as it breaks. And we'll see what happens. Yeah. Oh, I love to see that Darkman224 is quoting Benjamin Graham's Intelligent Investor. I think that's one of the most important books folks can read about investing, and it is a great resource for people. I've been talking about technical analysis here, looking at the chart, but Benjamin Graham's value investing philosophy is at the core of how I pick stocks. I am going to stream the results. We are here. We have a few. I will pull the article up on screen and go through it with you folks. So yeah, and you will actually see some of our editorial process here where we come up with headlines and decide which stories to break out here at shacknews.com. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Shout out to GPT for recommending us. That's just silly. What a time to be alive, right? And yeah, if you're interested in more finance news, I will be streaming on Friday. I have a monthly show called Game Trader Live where I break down the news of the month and stock chart setups based on monthly charts and quarterly charts and whatnot. ChatGPT made me come here too. I love that they're saying it made me come here. It's like put a gun to your head and was like, go to Shacknews. Shout out Sam Altman. I didn't know he was a fan. I'm 21. Where should I go long? I don't know, man. Depends on your risk tolerance and time horizon and if you're in debt or not. Based on that's a really good question, Snoot. What is the earlier AI tech companies indicated for this? Well, if you look, there's two kinds of AI companies, right? There's the companies making the hardware, and there's the companies training the models. And if you listen to the companies training their models, be it Microsoft or Facebook or Google, I know Google has their own chips. These companies, OpenAI, they're all spending on R&D still. Facebook's kind of in a weird place, or Meta's kind of in a weird place where they tried to hire away a bunch of OpenAI people, and it's kind of backfired so far. If we look at the merits of the individual models, it seems like Facebook is kind of behind when it comes to their model versus OpenAI or versus Google. I'm impressed by what Google's been doing lately with some of their agent kind of focused things. But yeah, it looks like we have some movement on the chart. I don't know if that's. I don't see any numbers yet. Do you guys see any numbers out yet?
No, I don't see anything, and I'm keeping an eye out.
Yeah. Definitely is running. It's at the high of the after hours session right now. I'm going to just load up an investor relations page again. Let's see. Okay, it looks like they're out. 108. Looks like 108 is the number, and they beat on revenue. So we have a revenue and an earnings beat. $1.08 per share is the earnings per share. Adjusted EPS of 105 per share. So they're selling it off. It did not hit its whisper number. Sound familiar? That's not great. So, no, wait. It missed the whisper number by 1 penny. So yeah, the stock is down It is down about $7 here in the first 2 minutes since the results came out. I don't have the press release yet. I'm getting this from my E-Trade terminal. So yeah, whoever wants to write this, I don't know who's jumping on this headline, but NVIDIA beats revenue and earnings per share expectations, misses whisper number. This is almost identical to last year at this time. That stock's really selling off. Huh. Let's see if there's any respite in this sell-off or not. Right now, it's two big old stinky red bars, followed by a green bar that seems to be trying to find some footing around 172, 173 a share. It's kind of funny to think that 46.7 billion is not good enough, but here we are. That overreaction in the purest form. High volume buys. When is the call? The call is at 5 p.m., folks. So we have about 38 minutes until the earnings call comes out. This is why I put the chart up, because it's really, the 1 minute chart really highlights how fast the reaction is. And that's why you won't see me trying to trade this in after hours. But yeah, let me try to get a headline for you guys. Beats revenue and EPS expectations, misses whisper number. Yeah, that's right, TJ. We want to have the quarter in there, though. So you want to have Q2, or sorry, it's Q2 FY 26, I believe, right? So that would be the headline. Yeah, if the stock stays flat on the day, Jukes, you would be right. Darkman saying I'll be buying in. You know, it's I would recommend waiting to hear what the CEO says on the call. He tends to be a voice of reason in these times. But I'm gonna try to refresh and see if I can get the actual earnings results up here. Sorry about that. We're going to try to get the news. Financial results. Here we go. So 46.7 billion, up 6% from Q1, up 56% from the prior year. Data center revenue of 41.1 billion, up 5% from Q1, 56% from the year ago. Blackwell data center revenue up 17% sequentially. There were no H2O, H20 sales to Chinese-based customers during the second quarter. They benefited from a $180 million release of previously reserved H20 inventory from approximately $650 million in unrestricted H20 sales to customer outside of China. GAAP and non-GAAP margins were 72.4 and 72.7. Good Lord, %. That's insane. That's insane. They missed the whisper number. The whisper number was 106 per share. They came in at 105 per share. Just nobody. So they missed the whisper number by a penny. And the stock did sell off as a result. So we're down here at 170. It seems to be around 174, 175 right now in after hours trading. I am going to get back to looking at this press release, though. They returned $24.3 billion in share repurchases and dividends in the first half of this year, or their fiscal year. The CEO says, Blackwell is the AI platform of the world we've been waiting for, delivering an exceptional generational leap. Production of Blackwell Ultra is ramping at full speed and demand is extraordinary, said Jensen Huang, founder and CEO of NVIDIA. NVIDIA NVLink rack-scale computing is revolutionary, arriving just in time as reasoning AI models drive orders of magnitude increases in training and inference performance. The AI race is on, and Blackwell is the platform at its center, says the CEO.
There's no mention of the word tariff in there, is there?
That's a good question.
There's
Not
nothing
one.
in the CFO commentary.
Not a single word about tariffs. But you have to remember, Ozzy, he did kiss the ring at the White House.
Oh, of course he did.
So I know there have been some exemptions given to them, and that might come up on the conference call, would be my guess. Hey, thanks for the 41 months of being a sub here, Mamu Bear. No. They do mention China sales, but they don't mention... They mention that they didn't sell anything to China directly. So that seems like something that might be coming in a future quarter. The stock is recovering its footing here. It's now at 177 after hours, but, you know, buckle up. I think people are still reacting to this news. We're going to get back to looking at this press release. I just want to highlight that 72 cents out of every dollar they make at this company is profit. That's extraordinary. Like, that's really kind of insane. So yeah, they backed out the $180 million release and the tax-related impact. So the non-GAAP diluted earnings per share for the quarter would have been 104. So if you back out that $108 million release of H20 unrestricted sales outside of China, they missed the whisper number by 2 cents. If you don't, they missed it by 1 cent. But either way, they beat the analyst expectation, which was 98 cents, and they handily beat the revenue expectation, which was around 45.9 billion. They came at 46.7 billion. TJ, if you need that, the expectation, it's in the Asana task under our events thing. I have like a screenshot of it for you.
Yep, no problem. Got it.
So yeah, interesting results here. Outlook. This is always important. Would you expect to see analysts and institution investors doubling down with those numbers? I don't know a company of this size growing this fast. So if you're a growth fund, if you're like looking for growth, or if you're looking for AI exposure, I would still rather own NVIDIA when compared to the companies training LLMs. Because I have not seen a company that has really shown us how they're going to monetize either chatbots or their LLMs efficiently. Even Microsoft said it's going to be years before they see the financial benefits of their investment. So to me, I think NVIDIA is still the purest play on this. The stock's back at 179. So if you were so bold to buy it on that sell-off, you're up $7. So I tip my fedora to you. I don't have the intestinal fortitude to try to trade with the machines in after hours. I'm just here to observe and report for you folks here. And yes, we appreciate all the follows coming in. Please keep it coming. We stream earnings results here all the time. We think it's our duty to help people understand why stocks move the way they move, and to understand what expectations are, and also the concept of the whisper number. So what now? Nothing changes? Regarding what? Like the economy? The stock market? The future of Bennigan's? What exactly are you asking, Poton? NVIDIA earnings. Their results are pretty solid. It's just not at it, in this environment when you're trading at the highs like they are, and you miss one of those metrics, be it the one Lord Jack wants to hear more about the future of Bennigan's. That man's speaking to my soul right there. But no, with respects to these results, Poton, they're not terrible. They're not perfect, I guess would be my answer. When you're a high flyer and you're the stock everyone's paying attention to, if you don't beat the whisper number, the expectations, and the revenue expectations, you can see a stock sell off. But it seems to have retraced some of that sell off in after hours. For tech as a whole, I look at the quote. Those are just sell the news. Well, the numbers weren't bad, to be honest. D Jukes, I agree. The numbers weren't that bad. It's just they missed one of the metrics that the market likes to look at. And I agree with, I can't read your username, something forever, that the market does like to sell on the news. These computer trading, the computerized traders love to blow out stop losses, or, buy stop orders too on news. Sorry, I want to go back down to this outlook. Revenue is expected to be $54 billion in the next quarter. The company has not assumed any H20 shipments to China in the outlook. So the person who was asking about Chinese sales, they're currently not baking in any Chinese sales in their expectations. I think that's important to note. I do want to... I'm going to pull up what expectations are for next quarter, guys, because I think that's probably a story you could jump on, Ozzy, is this guidance. But let me just see what we were expecting. Revenue for the next quarter. Q4. What is the Q4 expectation? Man, E-Trade's really gone to shit since Morgan Stanley bought him. CNBC is running with the story that it's a beat. Okay, I got it, Ozzy. Expectations for revenue next quarter was
something outrageous.
53.1 billion. So this is higher. Their guidance. So yeah, Ozzy, I think I can. Let me help you write a headline here. NVIDIA forecasts Q3 FY26 revenue above analyst expectations.
Yeah, China's shipments are not accounted for in this outlook.
That's right. So there's folks who are bullish of AI and have been paying attention to our glorious leaders discussions with Jensen will know that NVIDIA has been given an exemption to sell some AI chips to China. They're not even including that in this guidance. So there is a tailwind built into these numbers. Ozzy, it's that you see that the text I put above that, right?
Yeah, I see it.
And this is the source of that. We can give CNBC some love. China is still going to smuggle in chips. I just want to shout out Gamers Nexus. They did an amazing 3.5-hour video about AI smuggling. Civ 18, the reason that the stock fell on earnings, in my opinion, is that they did not beat the whisper number. I don't really believe in relative strength indicators, but you can use them. They're definitely a thing. I find that they tend to be backwards looking. But yeah, the market, it was a sell on the news, and now people are kind of digesting the news. But you're right that they beat analyst expectations of both revenue and earnings, so it's not the end of the world here. It's just when you're priced for perfection and you don't hit all three, you have to beat the whisper, EPS estimate, and revenue estimate. If you don't do all three, you tend to get punished. But this is still a great quarter. I mean, I can't think of a company of this size growing earnings at this pace. It's kind of crazy. So I think it's an impressive quarter. I just think that when you're priced for perfection, Apple sucks is how NVIDIA is bigger than Apple. And I say that as someone who made a ton of money investing in Apple for 20 years. Apple's not the same company it used to be, man. It's just not. They're light years behind with respects to AI. And then, yeah, NVIDIA has... Apple's boring. Apple's a boring tech company now. Intel sucks. Like, don't bring Intel into this conversation. Intel missed a lot of things. Intel missed a lot of secular growth trends. AMD has been a hell of a turnaround stock. AMD has done a lot of things right. Intel has basically made every wrong move. Yeah, you want to talk about Intel manufacturers in the United States. You know how much they lost in their foundry division in 2024? The U.S. foundry division of Intel lost $18 billion in 2024. So I would not be, I would not be comparing Intel to NVIDIA. NVIDIA has been on top of every trend for the last 20 years. Intel has literally, you know that gif of the guy who's trying to wash his car and he fumbles everything? That's Intel. I would not be bringing Intel in this conversation if we're talking about AI growth. And I know that the government just took a 10% stake in it, but the government loves buying trash. Remember when they took a stake in GM? Remember when they bought Citigroup? Remember when they took Fannie and Freddie Mac into receivership? Remember when they bought all those U.S. banks in 2008? The United States government loves to buy trash. It's like Oscar the Grouch when it comes to how it invests. But yeah, if you want a nice boring stock that has the worst voice assistant known to mankind, Apple's great. I'll give you that.
That voice is not worse than Alexa. Like Amazon's Alexa is way worse than Siri.
Siri's better than Alexa?
I think Siri's better than Alexa. Alexa's trash.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I think they both suck. But yeah, like there's a rumor that Apple's going to be working with Gemini on this stuff. ASML's an interesting one, man. A lot of those technologies that you're talking about, like these ASML is like kind of a part of the supply chain, right? They make the machines that make the machines. Siri is trying to integrate ChatGPT, but there's a rumor that they're going to work with Google Gemini.
Serious, ask me to call emergency services or someone you trust.
That's what I'm talking about. I wasn't talking to you, Siri. But like us just talking about Siri, she almost called 911 for me. Like, we're really going to talk about Apple right now? Like, did anyone else just see that? Or hear it? I'm sorry. Look, you're talking to someone who made a shit ton of money on Apple stock. I just think the risk reward is not in favor of being long Apple at this point. It's no longer an innovative company. That kind of did just prove my point. I wasn't even trying. I have an iPhone, I have a Macintosh, I'm waiting to buy that new Apple Watch. Look, I love Apple products, but their software has gotten materially worse over the last 5 to 10 years. And it's I feel like that advantage that they had, yeah, it's one of the worst performing stocks. Like, if we really want, I don't want to turn this into a conversation about Apple. I really don't. It's a waste of our time. This is a company growing, like Apple is struggling to grow their biggest division, which is the iPhone segment of their business.
We're going to have plenty of time to talk about Apple in September.
Yeah. Apple's coming out with another slew of iPhones. Apple's going to release a bendy phone. Those foldable phones, guys? Like, they're going to release one of those. Why is Apple lagging?
They're going to release a new phone with a bunch of AI junk that nobody wants.
Do you guys realize how much money Apple has pissed away on buybacks since the death of Steve Jobs? It's like $500 billion. You know what they could have bought with that money? Tesla, Sony, Nintendo, Netflix. Like, think about the secular areas that Apple's completely missed on, especially with Tesla caking its pants this year. If Apple had an EV ready to go this year, they would be cleaning up because Elon has completely fumbled it. You know what I'm saying?
I actually did not mean to get you set off on a further Apple rant. I'm sorry about that.
And then, Tim Cook handing Donald Trump a piece of glass like that means anything. I'm telling you, Apple has completely fallen. They were developing Apple cars and then they completely dropped it. Like they completely fumbled their opportunity to sweep the leg of Elon Musk. It was just sitting there for them. Could you imagine what the company would be doing from a revenue perspective if they had an actual car that wasn't shit? Elon Musk and Tesla have fumbled this year. There's a huge opportunity. You look at what's happening in Europe, what's happening in China. BYD is eating their lunch. Apple could have cleaned up in America if they had an electric vehicle. Apple releasing Apple TV Plus in 20 whatever after 10 years of letting Netflix just dominate the living room. Apple used to be the company that made things that no one else had. No one else was using that tech. Apple's now Microsoft 20 years ago. And Tim Cook is becoming Steve Ballmer. Anyway, I digress. I don't know if you can tell. I know a lot about Apple. I know a lot about that company. I've been studying it for way too long. But we're here to talk about NVIDIA. I'm curious, is there anything else in this press release we want to break out? They pay lower taxes than we do, guys. 16.5% taxes. Oh, man. Yeah, you want to talk about how a company that has 54 billion in revenue is paying less tax rate than us? It's brutal, man. It's brutal. I don't know what to expect, the One Lord Jack. I do think that it seems like it's kind of settling down, right? It's sitting here at 175 right now. So that original, the world's ending sell, I think that was a bit of an overreaction. As someone who is long this stock, I am not looking at this and rushing to sell my shares. Dog, I think you got an interesting point there, Dog, about how artificial general intelligence, AGI, will be very disruptive and governments will have to step in. But if you look at how this government is operating right now, and even the government, I'm not going to judge which Republican or Democrat here. The last 5 years, or even the last 10 years of tech regulation has been too little too late. And I think with respects to AI, the genie's out of the bottle already. Now, if we're talking about who's going to win the race to AGI, I'm going to bet on the country that doesn't make it hard to build power plants. And it's very hard to build power plants in the United States compared to China. So I think China is probably going to beat us to AGI. And there's really an existential debate to be had about if we're going to achieve the singularity, right? Like, if we're actually going to get to that point. You know what I mean? Thoughts on Amazon? I mean, AWS by itself, I think, is worth investing in. Amazon is going to move with the economy, right? Because it's a consumer stock. And I don't know where you guys live. Where I live, people are tightening their belts. Everything costs more, and wages haven't gone up, so consumption's kind of going down. And people are less likely to take trips. Maybe they're more likely to use Amazon. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I'm not saying to buy Amazon here, man. I don't own Amazon. I don't really recommend any mega cap tech stocks outside of NVIDIA, honestly. That's a really interesting point, Dog. Buying God, if Amazon bought FedEx, that'd be crazy. Yeah, and I'm not giving financial advice here, folks. Manage your own risk, consider your time horizon, all those good things. I think Amazon's done some interesting stuff, right? They what they're doing with Prime Video is interesting. And AWS, I think, is a great business. They kind of dominate the internet. I think the stock, I find it interesting that folks, I think one person mentioned it above. Someone was asking about Apple and Google. I would buy Google stock over Apple. I think Google is well positioned in the AI space because they actually have the data and they've been researching longer than most of these companies. I think the losers in America in the AI race are going to be, and Poton, you mentioned that they make their own chips too. I think Google is actually going to be the winner in American AI. And I think that what they're doing, like they have so much user-generated content, be it through images, Google Drive, Gmail, and YouTube, that I think Google is going to kill its own search engine. It already has happened, man. Darkman, you're right. You look at what happens when you search on Google and you have Gemini telling you search results before you can actually look at that. And I get it. Slinky Jim, you're right. Google steps on its own dick every other day. Like, you're right about that. But, their best AI is available for free. I think their challenge will be, and I think this is the challenge of every company that's training an LLM, a chatbot, or any of this, is how are they going to monetize this? Because they're all spending crazy amounts of money in R&D, and not all of them are going to win. It's very much like the dot-com bubble. Not everyone won in the dot-com bubble, right? Not everyone's going to win in this AI gold rush. But I keep bringing it back to this. In an AI gold rush, I want to own the company selling the pickaxe. And that's NVIDIA, and that's AMD to a lesser extent, and a point that several people in chat have brought up. Google makes their own chips. Google has already more data than most of these other companies. Like, the lawsuits are coming for OpenAI, right? Because OpenAI is using they're using copyrighted materials to train their models. And you're seeing Ziff Davis suing them, New York Times suing them, like these media entities suing OpenAI. Google's a little different. Google has a lot of stuff that they actually own the data for. So it's a little better. And I think that their agent model, not just focusing on LLMs, but like working on AI agents, I think is the right move for Google. But yeah, what an interesting conversation this chat is having. But yeah, I just think Google is much better positioned than Apple. I think Apple is right in not going all in on LLMs and stuff, but I guess the one thing Apple could do is wait for this to play out and acquire the company that's good. But I still think that there's this outcome that could happen where China gets to AGI first. And what happens to the US, all these US companies? What happens to all of these LLMs in the US if China hits AGI first? We saw it. We saw that fear with DeepSeek. Was that earlier this year or late last year? I can't remember. But when we saw that happen, it shook the market entirely. So I think we kind of have a preview of what's going to happen. And yeah, I would just say that I wouldn't rule out China to get there first. And yeah, if China does it at a fraction of the cost and it's the best, if it's the best service and it's the cheapest, they win. So I do think that that's the biggest risk. And then when I look at the risk of, I don't know. I don't really have a good connect at the CCP, Podhan. But yeah, like I do think that there's a risk that China could be the first, a Chinese company could achieve AGI before an American company. And what that would mean for the broader tech industry would be bad. They lied. DeepSeek lied about how they got to where they got. They definitely stole other people's R&D work and stuff, but they could get away with that stuff over there. I'm not talking about the morality of these companies. I'm talking about what will happen if they get there first. You know what I mean? Sorry, I just saw you guys talking about the headlines. I've been engaged in a very intense discussion here. This is like the transition from Blu-ray to digitalization, I guess, kind of. Concerning the disappointment with GPT-5, I'll say this: I've been skeptical of chatbots this whole time. I frequently break chatbots when I try using them. I don't really see much value for my job yet. I'm not saying there isn't value in other things, but I don't use AI much at work yet because a lot of the time it creates more work for me, and I find that annoying. And Dog, you're absolutely right. This I believe it's called Stargate, that project that the government has announced, where if we start using government funding for a moonshot AI project like you're talking about, NVIDIA will very much benefit from that, and there's a chance. According to chat, I'm sponsored by Grok and GPT. That's really funny, man. They haven't cut me a check. Hey, Ozzy, did you get a check from GPT?
I've never used GPT in my life.
Hey, TJ, did you get the check from GPT?
Nah, I ain't got that sweet AI money yet.
Bill, did Grok send you a check? Is Bill still here?
Bill is deep in the mines.
Oh, anyway, they haven't. I know. Look.
I'm here. I'm actually watching on stream.
Has Grok sent you a check, Bill?
No checks.
Who's sending you guys money?
Is
you are.
Oh, me? That's right, a human being. Oh, holy shit. Yeah. It's rough in the media turd mines, guys. Let me just tell you. So it's funny that you guys use the term sponsored. Does the CCP pay me? No, God, no. US dollars? I don't know about that. We're a taco-based economy here at Shacknews. No, it is funny that, like, I find it really amusing. I didn't realize that they were. It's very nice to hear that GPT was actually sending you our way. I did not know that. This was actually pretty eye-opening for, I think, everyone on staff. That's news to us. I am not being paid to promote DeepSeek. No. Not at all. I don't even use it. I'm just talking about that one moment. I believe was it earlier this year or was it late last year? I can't even remember. But when that happened, it caused a panic. That's all I'm referring to. I'm not talking about the merits of it or if they honestly created that or if they stole a bunch of people's R&D. I think the one innovation that they did was when it got to its answer, it asked itself, is this the right answer? I think that's the only innovation that really occurred in DeepSeek. Shacknews is a media company. We cover gaming and emergent technology, cutting edge technology. We believe AI is the one of the most important technologies out there. Darkman is asking me what financial book would I recommend? Since you already mentioned The Intelligent Investor, I would say The Myth of the Rational Market would be one to read. Let me see. The Rational. It's a book by Justin Fox. I would recommend that. The earnings call is about to start in 4 minutes, folks. I just want to give you guys a heads up that I will be going silent during that. I'm not going to be on camera. I'm not going to be talking over it. We just want you folks to listen to the conference call when it starts. ChatGPT has given you incorrect information many times, Sandroid. Yeah, I know that. So yeah, Myth of the Rational Market, I would say, is one to check out, Darkman. Another one is The Great Crash of 1929 by Jonathan Galbraith. I think that's a great book for people to read. Oddly enough, I actually like Jim Cramer's book, Confessions of a Street Addict. It's quite interesting. It's not about becoming a better investor, honestly. It's about understanding the history and understanding market psychology. I'd say the intelligent investor is not outdated. I think fundamental investing is still incredibly important. I think book value matters now more than ever. I do believe in reading charts. I mean, look at me. I have a chart up right now. It's The Great Crash of 1929 is the name of the book. Yeah, no problem, Android. I was taught it's called The Strat. If you look on Twitter and you just do hashtag The Strat, Rob Smith, who passed away a couple of years ago, he created this. Or he created it. It's based on 3 premises. All stocks trade in a series of uptrends and downtrends across different time frames. Stocks will try to find equilibrium and then break out of equilibrium, and in those moments you will have buy and sell signals. And time frame continuity. You want to buy a stock that's going up on every time frame, and you want to sell stocks that are going down on every time frame. Sounds easier than it is, but it sounds like pretty basic, but I would recommend just looking on Twitter or X, the everything app, for hashtag The Strat. Or if you go on YouTube and look for Rob Smith, he still has a lot of great educational videos about the topic. May he rest in peace. He was my trading mentor. And a great man. Okay, so the music has started. We got about 1 minute until this starts. I don't know. Movies, I don't really recommend movies to learn about stocks. I would recommend just listening to Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. Yes, I will leave the chart live during the conference call. Yes. So here it is, folks. This is Game Trader Live. And yeah, when the call starts, folks, I'm going to go offline. I'm not going to be on camera. I'm not going to be talking over this. I want you just to listen to what they're saying. And we're going to be doing that too. We're going to be reporting on anything as it breaks. Jensen Huang is one of the more transparent CEOs. So if he says anything, we will be doing breakout articles on Shacknews.com. And the call's starting now. See you folks later. Thank you for the conversation. Definitely follow us. I'll be back on Friday with more Game Trader Live.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to NVIDIA's second quarter fiscal 2026 financial results conference call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. And if you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press star 1 again. Thank you. Toshiya Hari, you may begin your conference.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NVIDIA's conference call for the second quarter of fiscal 2026. With me today from NVIDIA are Jensen Huang, President and Chief Executive Officer, and Colette Kress, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. I'd like to remind you that our call is being webcast live on NVIDIA's Investor Relations website. The webcast will be available for replay until the conference call to discuss our financial results for the third quarter of fiscal 2026. The content of today's call is NVIDIA's property. It can't be reproduced or transcribed without our prior written consent. During this call, we may make forward-looking statements based on current expectations. These are subject to a number of significant risks and uncertainties, and our actual results may differ materially. For a discussion of factors that could affect our future financial results and business, please refer to the disclosure in today's earnings release, our most recent Forms 10-K and 10-Q, and the reports that we may file on Form 8-K with the Securities and Exchange Commission. All our statements are made as of today, August 27th, 2025, based on information currently available to us. Except as required by law, we assume no obligation to update any such statements. During this call, we will discuss non-GAAP financial measures. You can find a reconciliation of these non-GAAP financial measures to GAAP financial measures in our CFO commentary, which is posted on our website. With that, let me turn the call over to Colette.
Thank you, Toshio. We delivered another record quarter while navigating what continues to be a dynamic external environment. Total revenue was $46.7 billion, exceeded our outlook as we grew sequentially across all market platforms. Data center revenue grew 56% year over year. Data center revenue also grew sequentially despite the $4 billion decline in H20 revenue. NVIDIA's Blackwell platform reached record levels, growing sequentially by 17%. We began production shipments of GB300 in Q2. Our full-stack AI solutions for cloud service providers, neoclouds, enterprises, and sovereigns are all contributing to our growth. We are at the beginning of an industrial revolution that will transform every industry. We see $3 to $4 trillion in AI infrastructure spend by the end of the decade. The scale and scope of these buildouts present significant long-term growth opportunities for NVIDIA. The GB200 NVL system is seeing widespread adoption with deployments at CSPs and consumer internet companies. Lighthouse model builders, including OpenAI, Meta, and Mistral, are using the GB200 NVL72 at data center scale for both training next-generation models and serving inference models in production. The new Blackwell Ultra platform has also had a strong quarter, generating tens of billions in revenue. The transition to the GB300 has been seamless for major cloud service providers due to its shared architecture, software, and physical footprint with the GB200, enabling them to build and deploy GB300 racks with ease. The transition to the new GB300 rack-based architecture has been seamless. Factory builds in late July and early August were successfully converted to support the GB300 ramp, and today, full production is underway. The current run rate is back at full speed, producing approximately 1,000 racks per week. This output is expected to accelerate even further throughout the third quarter as additional capacity comes online. We expect widespread market availability in the second half of the year as CoreWeave prepares to bring their GB300 instance to market, as they are already seeing 10x more inference performance on reasoning models compared to H100. Compared to the previous Hopper generation, GB300 NVL72 AI factories promise a 10x improvement in token per watt energy efficiency, which translates to revenues as data centers are power limited. The chips of the Rubin platform are in fab. The Vera CPU, Rubin GPU, CX9 SuperNIC, NVLink 144 scale-up switch, Spectrum X scale-out and scale-across switch, and the silicon photonics processor. Rubin remains on schedule for volume production next year. Rubin will be our third-generation NVLink rack-scale AI supercomputer with a mature and full-scale supply chain. This keeps us on track with our pace of an annual product cadence and continuous innovation across compute, networking, systems, and software. In late July, the US government began reviewing licenses for sales of H20 to China customers. While a select number of our China-based customers have received licenses over the past few weeks, we have not shipped any H20 based on those licenses. USG officials have expressed an expectation that the USG will receive 15% of the revenue generated from licensed H20 sales, but to date, the USG has not published a regulation codifying such requirement. We have not included H20 in our Q3 outlook as we continue to work through geopolitical issues. If geopolitical issues reside, we should ship $2 to $5 billion in H20 revenue in Q3. And if we had more orders, we can build more. We continue to advocate for the US government to approve Blackwell for China. Our products are designed and sold for beneficial commercial use, and every licensed sale we make will benefit the US economy, the US leadership. In highly competitive markets, we want to win the support of every developer. America's AI technology stack can be the world standard if we race and compete globally. Notably in the quarter was an increase in Hopper 100 and H200 shipments. We also sold approximately $650 million of H20 in Q2 to an unrestricted customer outside of China. The sequential increase in Hopper demand indicates the breadth of data center workloads that run on accelerated computing and the power of CUDA libraries and full stack optimizations, which continuously enhance the performance and economic value of our platform. As we continue to deliver both Hopper and Blackwell GPUs, we are focusing on meeting the soaring global demand. This growth is fueled by capital expenditures from the cloud to enterprises, which are on track to invest $600 billion in data center infrastructure and compute this calendar year alone, nearly doubling in 2 years. We expect annual AI infrastructure investments to continue growing, driven by the several factors: reasoning agentic AI requiring orders of magnitude more training and inference compute, global buildouts for sovereign AI, enterprise AI adoption, and the arrival of physical AI and robotics. Blackwell has set the benchmark as it is the new standard for AI inference performance. The market for AI inference is expanding rapidly, with reasoning and agentic AI gaining traction across industries. Blackwell's rack-scale NVLink and CUDA full-stack architecture addresses this by redefining the economics of inference. New NV FP4 4-bit precision and NVLink 72 on the GB300 platform delivers a 50x increase in energy efficiency per token compared to Hopper, enabling companies to monetize their compute at unprecedented scale. For instance, a $3 million investment in GB200 infrastructure can generate $30 million in token revenue, a 10x return. NVIDIA's software innovation, combined with the strength of our developer ecosystem, has already improved Blackwell's performance by more than 2x since its launch. Advances in CUDA, TensorRT LLM, and Dynamo are unlocking maximum efficiency. CUDA library contributions from the open source community, along with NVIDIA's open libraries and frameworks, are now integrated into millions of workflows. This powerful flywheel of collaborative innovation between NVIDIA and global community contribution strengthens NVIDIA's performance leadership. NVIDIA is a top contributor to OpenAI models, data, and software. Blackwell has introduced a groundbreaking numerical approach to large language model pre-training. Using NV FP4, computations on the GB300 can now achieve 7x faster training than the H100, which uses FP8. This innovation delivers the accuracy of 16-bit precision with the speed and efficiency of 4-bit, setting a new standard for AI factor efficiency and scalability. The AI industry is quickly adopting this revolutionary technology, with major players such as AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and OpenAI, as well as Cohere, Mistral, Kimi AI, Perplexity, Reflection, and Runway, already embracing it. NVIDIA's performance leadership was further validated in the latest MLPerf training benchmarks, where the GB200 delivered a clean sweep. Be on the lookout for the upcoming MLPerf inference results in September, which will include benchmarks based on the Blackwell Ultra. NVIDIA RTX Pro servers are in full production for the world system makers. These are air-cooled PCIe-based systems integrated seamlessly into standard IT environments and run traditional enterprise IT applications, as well as the most advanced agentic and physical AI applications. Nearly 90 companies, including many global leaders, are already adopting RTX Pro servers. Hitachi uses them for real-time simulation and digital twins, Lilly for drug discovery, Hyundai for factory design and AV validation, and Disney for immersive storytelling. As enterprises modernize data centers, RTX Pro servers are poised to become a multi-billion-dollar product line. Sovereign AI is one on the rise as the nation's ability to develop its own AI using domestic infrastructure, data, and talent presents a significant opportunity for NVIDIA. NVIDIA is at the forefront of landmark initiatives across the UK and Europe. The European Union plans to invest 20 billion euros to establish 20 AI factories across France, Germany, Italy, and Spain, including 5 gigafactories, to increase its AI compute infrastructure by tenfold. In the UK, the Umbard AI supercomputer powered by NVIDIA was unveiled at the country's most powerful AI system, delivering 21 exaflops of AI performance to accelerate breakthroughs in fields of drug discovery and climate modeling. We are on track to achieve over 20 billion in sovereign AI revenue this year, more than double than that of last year. Networking delivered record revenue of 7.3 billion, and escalating demands of AI compute clusters necessitate high efficiency and low latency networking. This represents a 46% sequential and 98% year-on-year increase, with strong demand across Spectrum-X Ethernet, InfiniBand, and NVLink. Our Spectrum-X enhanced Ethernet solutions provide the highest throughput and lowest latency network for Ethernet AI workloads. Spectrum-X Ethernet delivered double-digit sequential and year-over-year growth, with annualized revenue exceeding 10 billion. At Hot Chips, we introduced Spectrum XGS Ethernet, a technology designed to unify disparate data centers into gigascale AI superfactories. CoreWeave is an initial adopter of the solution, which is projected to double GPU to GPU communication speed. InfiniBand revenue nearly doubled sequentially, fueled by the adoption of XDR technology, which provides double the bandwidth improvement over its predecessor, especially valuable for the model builders. The world's fastest switch, NVLink, with 14x the bandwidth of PCIe Gen 5, delivered strong growth as customers deployed Grace Blackwell NVLink rack-scale systems. The positive reception to NVLink Fusion, which allows semi-custom AI infrastructure, has been widespread. Japan's upcoming Fugaku Next will integrate Fujitsu's CPUs with our architecture via NVLink fusion. It will run a range of workloads, including AI, supercomputing, and quantum computing. Fugaku next joins a rapidly expanding list of leading quantum supercomputing and research centers running on NVIDIA's CUDA-Q quantum platform, including ULIC, AIST, NNF, and NERSC, supported by over 300 ecosystem partners, including AWS, Google Quantum AI, Quantinium, QEra, and PsiQuantum. Jetson Thor, our new robotics computing platform, is now available. Thor delivers an order of magnitude greater AI performance and energy efficiency than NVIDIA AGX Orin. It runs the latest generative and reasoning AI models at the edge in real time, enabling state-of-the-art robotics. Adoption of NVIDIA's robotics full-stack platform is growing at rapid rate. Over 2 million developers and 1,000 plus hardware, software applications, and sensor partners taking our platform to market. Leading enterprises across industries have adopted Thor, including Agility Robotics, Amazon Robotics, Boston Dynamics, Caterpillar, Figure, Hexagon, Medtronic, and Meta. Robotic applications require exponentially more compute on the device and in infrastructure, representing a significant long-term demand driver for our data center platform. NVIDIA Omniverse with Cosmos is our data center physical AI digital twin platform built for development of robot and robotic systems. This quarter, we announced a major expansion of our partnership with Siemens to enable AI automatic factories. Leading European robotics companies, including Agile Robots, Neuro Robotics, and Universal Robots, are building their latest innovations with the Omniverse platform. Transitioning to a quick summary of our revenue by geography. China declined on a sequential basis to low single digits percentage of data center revenue. Note, our Q3 outlook does not include H20 shipments to China customers. Singapore revenue represented 22% of second quarter's billed revenue as customers have centralized their invoicing in Singapore. Over 99% of data center compute revenue billed to Singapore was for US-based customers. Our gaming revenue was a record $4.3 billion, a 14% sequential increase and a 49% jump year on year. This was driven by the ramp of Blackwell GeForce GPUs as strong sales continued as we increased supply availability. This quarter, we shipped GeForce RTX 5060 desktop GPU. It brings double the performance along with advanced ray tracing, neural rendering, and AI-powered DLSS4 gameplay to millions of gamers worldwide. Blackwell is coming to GeForce Now in September. This is GeForce Now's most significant upgrade, offering RTX 5080 class performance, minimal latency, and 5K resolution at 120 frames per second. We are also doubling the GeForce Now catalog to over 4,500 titles, the largest library of any cloud gaming service. For AI enthusiasts, on-device AI performs the best RTX GPUs. We partnered with OpenAI to optimize their open source GPT models for high quality, fast, and efficient inference on millions of RTX-enabled Windows devices. With the RTX platform stack, Windows developers can create AI applications designed to run on the world's largest AI PC user base. Professional visualization revenue reached $601 million, a 32% year-on-year increase. Growth was driven by an adoption of the high-end RTX workstation GPUs and AI-powered workload like design, simulation, and prototyping. Key customers are leveraging our solutions to accelerate their operations. Activision Blizzard uses RTX workstations to enhance creative workflows, while robotics innovator Figure AI powers its humanoid robots with RTX embedded GPUs. Automotive revenue, which includes only in-car compute revenue, was $586 million, up 69% year on year, primarily driven by self-driving solutions. We have begun shipments of NVIDIA Thor SoC, the successor to Orin. Thor's arrival coincides with the industry's accelerating shift to vision, language, model architecture, generative AI, and higher levels of autonomy. Thor is the most successful robotics and AV computer we've ever created. Thor Willpower. Our full stack drive AV software platform is now in production, opening up billions to new revenue opportunities for NVIDIA while improving vehicle safety and autonomy. Now moving to the rest of our P&L. GAAP gross margin was 72.4% and non-GAAP gross margin was 72.7%. These figures include a $180 million or 40 basis point benefit from releasing previously reserved H20 inventory. Excluding this benefit, non-GAAP gross margins would have been 72.3%, still exceeding our outlook. GAAP operating expenses rose 8% and 6% on a non-GAAP basis sequentially. This increase was driven by higher compute and infrastructure costs, as well as higher compensation and benefit costs. To support the ramp of Blackwell and Blackwell Ultra, inventory increased sequentially from $11 billion to $15 billion in Q2. While we prioritize funding our growth and strategic initiatives, in Q2, we returned $10 billion to shareholders through share repurchases and cash dividends. Our board of directors recently approved a $60 billion share repurchase authorization to add to our remaining $14.7 billion of authorization at the end of Q2. Okay, let me turn it to the outlook for the third quarter. Total revenue is expected to be $54 billion, plus or minus 2%. This represents over $7 billion in sequential growth. Again, we do not assume any H20 shipments to China customers in our outlook. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be 73.3%, 73.5% respectively, plus or minus 50 basis points. We continue to expect to exit the year with non-GAAP gross margins in the mid-70s. GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses are expected to be approximately $5.9 billion and $4.2 billion, respectively. For the full year, we expect operating expenses to grow in the high 30s range year over year, up from our prior expectations of the mid-30s. We are accelerating investments in the business to address the magnitude of growth opportunities that lie ahead. GAAP and non-GAAP other income and expenses are expected to be an income of approximately $500 million, excluding gains and losses from non-marketable and public held equity securities. GAAP and non-GAAP tax rates are expected to be 16.5%, plus or minus 1%, excluding any discrete items. Further financial data are included in the CFO commentary and other information available on our website. In closing, let me highlight upcoming events for the financial community. We will be at the Goldman Sachs Technology Conference on September 8th in San Francisco. Our annual NDR will commence the first part of October. GTC Data Center begins on October 27th, with Jensen's keynote scheduled for the 28th. We look forward to seeing you at these events. Our earnings call to discuss the results of our third quarter of fiscal 2026 is scheduled for November 19th. We will now open the call for questions. Operator, would you please poll for questions?
Thank you. At this time, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. We'll pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. As a reminder, please limit yourself to one question. Thank you. Your first question comes from CJ Muse with Cantor Fitzgerald. Your line is open.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for taking the question. I guess with wafer in to rack out lead times of 12 months, you confirmed on the call today that Rubin is on track for ramp in the second half. And obviously, many of these investments are multi-year projects contingent upon power cooling, et cetera. I was hoping perhaps you take a high-level view and speak to, your vision for growth into 2026. And as part of that, if you can kind of comment between networking, data center, would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, CJ. At the highest level of growth drivers would be the evolution, the introduction, if you will, of reasoning agentic AI. Where chatbots used to be one shot, you give it a prompt and it would generate the answer. Now the AI does research, it thinks and does a plan, and it might use tools. And so it's called long thinking. And the longer it thinks, oftentimes it produces better answers. And the amount of computation necessary for one shot versus reasoning agentic AI models could be 100 times, 1,000 times, and potentially even more as the amount of research and basically reading and comprehension that it goes off to do. And so the amount of computation that has resulted in agentic AI has grown tremendously. And of course, the effectiveness has also grown tremendously. Because of agentic AI, the amount of hallucination has dropped significantly. You can now use it. It can now use tools and perform tasks. Enterprises have been opened up. As a result of agentic AI and vision language models, we now are seeing a breakthrough in physical AI, in robotics, autonomous systems. So the last year, AI has made tremendous progress. And agentic systems, reasoning systems, is completely revolutionary. Now, we built the Blackwell NVLink 72 system, a rack scale computing system for this moment. We've been working on it for several years. This last year, we transitioned from NVLink 8, which is a node scale computing. Each node is a computer, to now NVLink 72, where each rack is a computer. That disaggregation of NVLink 72 into a rack scale system was extremely hard to do, but the results are extraordinary. We're seeing orders of magnitude speed up, and therefore energy efficiency, and therefore cost effectiveness of token generation because of NVLink 72. And so over the next couple of years, you're gonna you asked about longer term. Over the next 5 years, we're going to scale into, with Blackwell, with Rubin, and follow-ons, to scale into effectively a $3 to $4 trillion AI infrastructure opportunity. The last couple of years, you have seen that CapEx has grown in just the top 4 CSPs has doubled and grown to about $600 billion. So we're in the beginning of this build out, and the AI technology advances has really enabled AI to be able to adopt and solve problems to many different industries.
Your next question comes from Vivek Arya with Bank of America Securities. Your line is open.
Thanks for taking my questions. Colette, just wanted to clarify the $2 to $5 billion in China. What needs to happen, and what is the sustainable pace of that China business as you get into Q4? And then Jensen, for you on the competitive landscape, several of your large customers already have or are planning many ASIC projects. I think one of your ASIC competitors, Broadcom, signaled that they could grow their AI business almost 55-60% next year. Any scenario in which you see the market moving more towards ASICs and away from NVIDIA GPU? Just what are you hearing from your customers? How are they managing this split between their use of merchant silicon and ASICs? Thank you.
Thanks, Vivek. So let me first answer your question regarding what will it take for the H20s to be shipped. There is interest in our H20s. There is the initial set of licenses that we received. And then additionally, we do have supply that we are ready. And that's why we communicated that somewhere in the range of about $2 to $5 billion this quarter, we could potentially ship. We're still waiting on several of the geopolitical issues going back and forth between the governments and the companies trying to determine their purchases and what they want to do. So it's still open at this time, and we're not exactly sure what that full amount will be this quarter. However, if more interest arrives, more licenses arrives, again, we can also still build additional H20 and ship more as well.
NVIDIA builds very different things than ASICs. But let's talk about ASICs first. A lot of projects are started. Many startup companies are created. Very few products go into production. And the reason for that is it's really hard. Accelerated computing is unlike general purpose computing. You don't write software and just compile it into a processor. Accelerated computing is a full stack co-design problem. And AI factories in the last several years has become so much more complex because of the scale of the problems have grown so significantly. It's really the ultimate, the most extreme computer science problem the world's ever seen, obviously. And so the stack is complicated. The models are changing incredibly fast from generative based on autoregressive to generative based on diffusion to mixed models to multimodality. The number of different models that are coming out that are either derivatives of transformers or evolutions of transformers is just daunting. One of the advantages that we have is that NVIDIA is available in every cloud. We're available from every computer company. We're available from the cloud to on-prem to edge to robotics on the same programming model. And so it's sensible that every framework in the world supports NVIDIA. When you're building a new model architecture, releasing it on NVIDIA is most sensible. And so the diversity of our platform, both in the ability to evolve into any architecture, the fact that we're everywhere, and also we accelerate the entire pipeline. You know, everything from data processing to pre-training to post-training with reinforcement learning, all the way out to inference. And so when you build a data center with NVIDIA platform in it, the utility of it is best. The lifetime usefulness is much, much longer. And then I would just say that in addition to all of that, it is just a really extremely complex systems problem anymore. You know, people talk about the chip itself. There's one ASIC, the GPU that many people talk about. But in order to build Blackwell, the platform, and Rubin, the platform, we had to build CPUs that connect fast memory, extremely energy efficient memory for large KV caching necessary for agentic AI, to the GPU, to a super NIC, to a scale up switch we call NVLink, completely revolutionary when we're in our 5th generation now, to a scale out switch, whether it's quantum or Spectrum X Ethernet, to now scale across switches so that we could prepare for these AI super factories with multiple gigawatts of computing all connected together. We call that Spectrum XGS. We just announced that at Hot Chips this week. And so the complications, the complexity of everything that we do is really quite extraordinary. It's just done at a really, really extreme scale now. And then lastly, if I could just say one more thing, you know, we're in every cloud for a good reason. Not only are we the most energy efficient, our perf per watt is the best of any computing platform. And in a world of power limited data centers, perf per watt drives directly to revenues. And, you know, you've heard me say before that in a lot of ways, the more you buy, the more you grow. And because our perf per dollar, the performance per dollar is so incredible, you also have extremely great margins. So the growth opportunity with NVIDIA's architecture and the gross margins opportunity with NVIDIA's architecture is absolutely the best. And so there's a lot of reasons why NVIDIA is chosen by every cloud and every startup and every computer company. We're really a holistic, full stack solution for AI factories.
Your next question comes from Ben Reitzes with Melius. Your line is open.
Hey, thanks a lot. Jensen, I wanted to ask you about your 3 to 4 trillion in data center infrastructure spend by the end of the decade. Previously, you talked about something in the 1 billion range, which I believe was just for compute by 2028. If you take past comments, 3 to 4 trillion would imply maybe 2 billion plus in compute spend. And just wanted to know if that was right and that's what you're seeing by the end of the decade. And wondering what you think your share will be of that. Your share right now of total infrastructure compute-wise is very high. So wanted to see, and also if there's any bottlenecks you're concerned about, like power, to get to the 3 to 4 trillion. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks. As you know, the CapEx of just the top 4 hyperscalers has doubled in 2 years. As the AI revolution went into full steam, as the AI race is now on, the CapEx spend has doubled to $600 billion per year. There's 5 years between now and the end of the decade. And $600 billion only represents the top 4 hyperscalers. We still have the rest of the enterprise companies building on-prem. You have cloud service providers building around the world. United States represents about 60% of the world's compute, and over time, you would think that artificial intelligence would reflect GDP scale and growth, and would be of course accelerating GDP growth. And so our contribution to that is a large part of the AI infrastructure. Out of a gigawatt AI factory, which can go anywhere from 50 to plus or minus 10%, let's say 50 to 60 billion, we represent about 35 plus or minus of that, and 35 out of 50 or so $billion for a gigawatt data center. And of course, what you get for that is not a GPU. I think people, we're famous for building the GPU and inventing the GPU, but as you know, over the last decade, we've really transitioned to become an AI infrastructure company. It takes 6 chips just to build 6 different types of chips just to build a Rubin AI supercomputer, and just to scale that out, to a gigawatt, you have hundreds of thousands of GPU compute nodes and a whole bunch of racks. And so we're really an AI infrastructure company, and we're hoping to continue to contribute to growing this industry, making AI more useful, and then very importantly, driving the performance per watt, because the world, as you mentioned, limiters, it will always likely be power limitations or AI infrastructure or AI building limitations. And so we need to squeeze as much out of that factory as possible. NVIDIA's performance per unit of energy used drives the revenue growth of that factory. It directly translates. If you have a 100 megawatt factory, per 100 megawatt drives your revenues. It's tokens per 100 megawatts of factory. In our case, also, the performance per dollar spent is so high that your gross margins are also the best. But anyhow, these are the limiters going forward, and $3 to $4 trillion is fairly sensible for the next 5 years.
Next question comes from Joe Moore of Morgan Stanley. Your line is open.
Great, thank you. Congratulations on reopening the China opportunity. Can you talk about the long-term prospects there? You've talked about, I think, half of the AI software world being there. how much can NVIDIA grow in that business, and how important is it that you get the Blackwell architecture ultimately licensed there?
The China market, I've estimated to be about $50 billion of opportunity for us this year. If we were able to address it with competitive products, and if it's $50 billion this year, you would expect it to grow, say 50% per year, as the rest of the world's AI market is growing as well. It is the second largest computing market in the world, and it is also the home of AI researchers. About 50% of the world's AI researchers are in China. The vast majority of the leading open source models are created in China. And so it's fairly important, I think, for the American technology companies to be able to address that market. And open source, as you know, is created in one country, but it's used all over the world. The open source models that have come out of China are really excellent. DeepSeek, of course, gained global notoriety. Q1 is excellent. Kimi is excellent. There's a whole bunch of new models that are coming out. They're multimodal. They're great language models, and it's really fueled the adoption of AI in enterprises around the world, because enterprises want to build their own custom proprietary software stacks. And so open source model is really important for enterprise. It's really important for SaaS, who also would like to build proprietary systems. It has been really incredible for robotics around the world. And so open source is really important. And it's important that the American companies are able to address it. It's going to be a very large market. We're talking to the administration about the importance of American companies to be able to address the Chinese market. And as you know, H20 has been approved for companies that are not on the entities list, and many licenses have been approved. And so I think the opportunity for us to bring Blackwell to the China market is a real possibility. And so we just have to keep advocating the sensibility of and the importance of American tech companies to be able to lead and win the AI race and help make the American tech stack the global standard.
Your next question comes from the line of Aaron Rakers with Wells Fargo. Your line is open.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I want to go back to the Spectrum XGS announcement this week, and thinking about the Ethernet product now pushing over 10 billion of annualized revenue. Jensen, what is the opportunity set that you see for Spectrum XGS? Do we think about this as kind of the data center interconnect layer? Any thoughts on the sizing of this opportunity, within that Ethernet portfolio? Thank you.
We now offer 3 networking technologies. One is for scale up, one is for scale out, and one for scale across. Scale up is so that we could build the largest possible virtual GPU, the virtual compute node. NVLink is revolutionary. NVLink 72 is what made it possible for Blackwell to deliver such an extraordinary generational jump over Hopper's NVLink 8. At a time when we have long thinking models, agentic AI reasoning systems, the NVLink basically amplifies the memory bandwidth, which is really critical for reasoning systems. And so NVLink 72 is fantastic. We then scale out with networking, which we have 2. We have InfiniBand, which is unquestionably the lowest latency, the lowest jitter, the best scale out network. It does require more expertise in managing those networks. And for supercomputing, for the leading model makers, InfiniBand quantum InfiniBand is the unambiguous choice. If you were to benchmark an AI factory, the ones with InfiniBand are the best performance. For those who would like to use Ethernet, because their whole data center is built with Ethernet, we have a new type of Ethernet called Spectrum Ethernet. Spectrum Ethernet is not off the shelf. It has a whole bunch of new technologies designed for low latency and low jitter and congestion control. And it has the ability to come closer, much, much closer to InfiniBand than anything that's out there. And we call that Spectrum X Ethernet. And then finally, we have Spectrum XGS, a gigascale for connecting multiple data centers, multiple AI factories into a super factory, a gigantic system. And you're gonna see that networking obviously is very important in AI factories. In fact, choosing the right networking, the performance, the throughput improvement, going from 65% to 85% or 90%, that kind of step up because of your networking capability effectively makes networking free. Choosing the right networking, you're basically paying, you'll get a return on it like you can't believe, because the AI factory, a gigawatt, as I mentioned before, could be $50 billion. And so the ability to improve the efficiency of that factory by tens of percents results in $10-20 billion worth of effective benefit. And so, the networking is a very important part of it. It's the reason why NVIDIA dedicates so much in networking. It's the reason why we purchased Mellanox 5.5 years ago. And Spectrum X, as we mentioned earlier, is now quite a sizable business, and it's only about 1.5 years old. So Spectrum X is a home run. All three of them are going to be fantastic. NVLink, scale up, Spectrum X and InfiniBand, scale out, and then Spectrum XGS for scale across.
Your next question comes from Stacy Raskin with Bernstein Research. Your line is open.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my question. I have a more tactical question for Colette. So on the guide, you're up, over $7 billion. The vast bulk of that is going to be from data center. How do I think about apportioning that $7 billion out across Blackwell versus Hopper versus networking? I mean, it looks like Blackwell was probably $27 billion in the quarter, up from maybe 23 last quarter. Hopper's still $6 or $7 billion post the H20. Do you think the Hopper strength continues? Just how do I think about parsing that $7 billion out across those three different components?
Thanks, Stacy, for the question. First part of it, looking at our growth between Q2 and Q3, Blackwell is still going to be the lion's share of what we have in terms of data center. But keep in mind that helps both our compute side as well as it helps our networking side, because we are selling those significant systems that are incorporating the NVLink that Jensen just spoke about. Selling Hopper, we are still selling it. H100, H200s, we are. But again, they are HCX systems, and I still believe our Blackwell will be the lion's share of what we're doing on there. So we'll continue. We don't have any more specific details in terms of how we'll finish our quarter, but you should expect Blackwell again to be the driver of the growth.
Your next question comes from Jim Schneider of Goldman Sachs. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. Thanks for taking my question. You've been very clear about the reasoning model opportunity that you see, and you've also been relatively clear about the technical specs for Rubin, but maybe you could provide a little bit of context about how you view the Rubin product transition going forward. What incremental capability does that offer to customers? And would you say that Rubin is a bigger, smaller, or similar step up in terms of performance for a capability perspective relative to what we saw with Blackwell? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Ruben, Ruben, we're on an annual cycle, and the reason why we're on an annual cycle is because we can do so to accelerate the cost reduction and maximize the revenue generation for our customers. When we increase the perf per watt, the token generation per amount of usage of energy, we are effectively driving the revenues of our customers. The perf per watt of Blackwell will be, for reasoning systems, an order of magnitude higher than Hopper. And so for the same amount of energy, and everybody's data center is energy limited by definition, for any data center that using Blackwell, you'll be able to maximize your revenues compared to anything we've done in the past, compared to anything in the world today. And because the perf per dollar, the performance is so good that the perf per dollar invested in the capital would also allow you to improve your gross margins. To the extent that we have great ideas for every single generation, we could improve the revenue generation, improve the AI capability, improve the margins of our customers by releasing new architectures. And so we advise our partners, our customers to pace themselves and to build these data centers on an annual rhythm. Ruben is going to have a whole bunch of new ideas. I paused for a second because, I've got plenty of time between now and a year from now to tell you about all the breakthroughs that Ruben's going to bring. But Ruben has a lot of great ideas. I'm anxious to tell you, but I can't right now, and I'll save it for GTC to tell you more and more about it. But nonetheless, for the next year, we're ramping really hard into now Grace Blackwell GB200, and then now Blackwell Ultra GB300. We're ramping really hard into data centers. This year is obviously a record-breaking year. I expect next year to be a record-breaking year. And while we continue to increase the performance of AI capabilities as we race towards artificial superintelligence on the one hand, and continue to increase the revenue generation capabilities of our hyperscalers on the other hand.
Your final question comes from Timothy Arcuri with UBS. Your line is open.
Thanks a lot. Jensen, I wanted to ask you, just answer the question. You threw out a number. You said 50% CAGR for the AI market. So I'm wondering how much visibility that you have into next year. Is that kind of a reasonable bogey in terms of how much your data center revenue should grow next year? I would think you'll grow at least in line with that CAGR. And maybe are there any puts and takes to that? Thanks.
Well, I think that the best way to look at it is we have reasonable forecasts from our large customers for next year, a very, very significant forecast. And we still have a lot of businesses that we're still winning and a lot of startups that are still being created. Don't forget that the number of startups for AI native startups was 100 billion was funded last year. This year, the year's not even over yet. It's 180 billion funded. If you look at AI native, the top AI native startups that are generating revenues, last year was $2 billion. This year is $20 billion. Next year, being 10 times higher than this year is not inconceivable. And the open source models is now opening up large enterprises, SaaS companies, industrial companies, robotics companies to now join the AI revolution, another source of growth. And whether it's AI natives or enterprise SaaS or industrial AI or startups, we're just seeing just enormous amount of interest in AI and demand for AI. Right now, the buzz is, I'm sure all of you know about the buzz out there. The buzz is everything sold out. H100 sold out. H200s are sold out. Large CSPs are coming out renting capacity from other CSPs. And so the AI native startups are really scrambling to get capacity so that they could train their reasoning models. And so the demand is really, really high. But the long-term outlook between where we are today, CapEx has doubled in 2 years. It is now running about $600 billion a year just in the large hyperscalers. For us to grow into that $600 billion a year, representing a significant part of that CapEx, isn't unreasonable. And so I think the next several years, surely through the decade, we see just really fast growing, really significant growth opportunities ahead. Let me conclude with this. Blackwell is the next generation AI platform the world's been waiting for. It delivers an exceptional generational leap. NVIDIA's NVLink 72 rack scale computing is revolutionary, arriving just in time as reasoning AI models drive order of magnitude increases in training and inference performance requirement. Blackwell Ultra is ramping at full speed and the demand is extraordinary. Our next platform, Rubin, is already in fab. We have 6 new chips that represents the Rubin platform. They've all taped out to TSMC. Rubin will be our 3rd generation NVLink rack scale AI supercomputer. And so we expect to have a much more mature and fully scaled up supply chain. Blackwell and Rubin AI factory platforms will be scaling into the $3 to $4 trillion global AI factory build out through the end of the decade. Customers are building ever greater scale AI factories, from thousands of Hopper GPUs in tens of megawatt data centers to now hundreds of thousands of Blackwells in 100 megawatt facilities. And soon we'll be building millions of Rubin GPU platforms powering multi-gigawatt, multi-site AI super factories. With each generation, demand only grows. One-shot chatbots have evolved into reasoning agentic AI that research, plan, and use tools, driving orders of magnitude jump in compute for both training and inference. Agentic AI is reaching maturity and has opened the enterprise market to build domain and company-specific AI agents for enterprise workflows, products, and services. The age of physical AI has arrived, unlocking entirely new industries in robotics, industrial automation. Every industrial company will need to build 2 factories, one to build the machines and another to build their robotic AI. This quarter, NVIDIA reached record revenues and an extraordinary milestone in our journey. The opportunity ahead is immense. A new industrial revolution has started. The AI race is on. Thanks for joining us today, and I'll look forward to addressing you next week, next earnings call. Thank you.
This concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect.